Hey everyone, my name is Bill Zanoni and I'm a volunteer with the Park County Environmental Council. We're in the process of gathering relevant and crucial information for Park County residents who have experienced flood damage as a result of the terrible floods that happened earlier this week. We are recording this conversation and are going to post it on our social media so that you can watch it whenever you have the chance. Today, we're going to speak with Kat Blue. Kat has spent her career in the indoor air quality business and is going to run through an overview of how to safely remediate a structure that has been flooded and experienced flood damage. She's going to reference a number of documents in this talk, and we will, PCC will put all those in a shared folder and share with everybody so that you can, you can reference those documents yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and let Kat get started. Thanks for coming, Kat. And yeah.
Okay. I'm currently retired, but I've been doing assessments and planning for remediation of water damaged buildings for a number of years. So I've been throughout Montana looking at different structures and trying to assess what was the best way to keep people healthy and what was the best way to get them back into a livable condition. So this applies directly to the flooding that's happened, unfortunately, in the Park County area. So I want to go over just kind of an outline of how people would assess their property because it's so overwhelming. It's heartbreaking, it's emotional. This might give you a way to look at it non-emotionally and make some plans about how to get your house, your building, your commercial building back into a usable, livable manner. So first thing I want to talk about is protecting yourself. Anytime you walk into a flood damaged building, it's vitally important that you protect yourself. So you should be wearing an N95 respirator to protect your lungs, to protect you from breathing in the contaminants that are associated with a flooding event. You should be wearing long sleeves, long pants, waterproof gloves, waterproof boots, anything to protect your skin. And it's really important if you have open sores or anything like that to keep those sores away from these contaminants, because flooded waters have a variety of chemical pollutants, bacteria, viruses, other things that can make you very, very ill. So from that description, anything that has been damaged, touched by floodwaters is going to either have to be cleaned or it's going to have to be thrown away because of that potential health problem. So keep yourself safe before you walk into your structure. And the things you want to look out for also are your utilities. Is your electricity something that you need to consider shutting off before you go into your building? Your sewage system, is it backed up? Is that something that you just cannot use anymore? Your toilets, your water system, if you're on wells, as a lot of people are out here, if there's even a remote chance that your well has been contaminated with floodwaters, do not drink that water, and make sure that you find out how to flush it out, how to clean it, and then have it tested again before you use that as a drinking water source. If you have air conditioning in your home, it's better to not turn on the air conditioning until you've dried out everything and cleaned everything. Otherwise, you're just blowing that stuff all over, and that air conditioning system might be contaminated also. So you want to get that cleaned before you use it. Food, make sure any food that's been impacted by floodwaters, if it's cans, think you can clean those off, but it's something that's obviously been damaged by floodwater, you're just going to have to get rid of that. As far as walking into the building and assessing it, what you want to be able to do is make a plan. And to make that plan, you're going to have, I would bring my phone with me and start taking pictures. I think the woman that talked about insurance said that also. That's going to be useful for you in planning how to remediate, clean up what's happened to your home. You'll be able to take pictures, step away and look at it non-emotionally and make a decision about what to do, and or show a restoration firm what's going on, that kind of thing. So take your phone with you. And then what you do as far as assessment, you just walk through each area and look at what's been wetted, what's dry. The things that are dry are okay. The things that have been wetted, you then need to determine how big is that area that's been damaged. Is it something you can fix, or is it something that you have to let a professional handle? Also, you're going to want to divide out your home into things that are porous materials, non-porous materials, and semi-porous materials, because that will depend on how those things get cleaned. If it's a porous material like a fabric or your clothes that can be washed, that's fine. You put that somewhere. If it's something that's semi-porous, and these would be materials that can get wet, but get wet very slowly, but are also slow to dry, you put that in another area. If it's something that's non-porous, like tile, ceramics, your dishes, a wooden old table that you have, those are things that can be cleaned easily. So you want to separate out things like that. Just a second, let me get some water. All of the references that I've given that you will be able to access will talk about your possessions in terms of what I just said. In order to get those things in your home back to being usable and or being thrown away, you're going to have to make the assessments that I just said, or have a professional do that. And if you're looking for a professional restoration or remediation company, they will have very specific guides that they go by that will determine how they clean your house and how they remediate your house, which may require knocking down walls. It will require knocking down walls, portions of walls, if they've gotten wet. Let's see, hang on. The people that are involved in determining how things are best cleaned, dried, etc., are going to be the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Red Cross has some guidance documents. Other non-governmental agencies have guidance documents. Many of those I've given to you as a reference. Don't be overwhelmed by the amount of information. Pick one and read through it, because that'll help you develop your plan. After you've decided what's been damaged, what needs to be gotten rid of, what can be possibly cleaned, what you have questions about, then you go through and decide how you're going to dry the rest of your home or dry the things that are wet. You determine how you're going to clean them and how you're going to decontaminate them. So cleaning means if it's a hard surface, you can just use water and soap to clean off, say, a table that's been wetted, that's lacquered, varnished, that isn't going to soak up any of the bad stuff. If you're decontaminating something, that might be fabrics that you've washed, and you may want to wash again just to make sure that all of the stuff is out of that fabric. And then also there's going to be some situations where you may want to actually use a contamination kind of chemical. And that's going to be best left to a professional. For most of the things that are non-porous or that can be cleaned by hand, you're going to be able to do that with soap and water. You're not going to have to use any strong disinfecting agents. In drying out your home, that's something you need to really think about also, because don't turn on your HVAC to do that. That's just going to blow stuff through your system and throughout your house. You need to use localized fans, localized air moving devices, and or just open up your doors and windows to help dry out things. So you can make a situation worse by not drying it out properly. In drying out the materials that have been affected, what you're trying to do is get water out of that material so it doesn't continue to grow things like mold. After the materials are dry, then you really can go after cleaning, decontaminating, that kind of thing. Let's see. What else? I'm going through a document here and looking at how to do this. I understand that the landfill's already filled with a lot of these materials. That's great. That's just what you're supposed to do. If there's materials you can't save, safely pack them up and get them to the local disposal place. I think, yeah, using caution and drying. The tendency is to want to use bleach because bleach, quote unquote, kills everything. But bleach isn't really the best thing to use because it's corrosive. So you can make metal things not work well if you use bleach. If you use bleach on a surface that hasn't been cleaned off appropriately first, it's not going to do anything. The organic material will just render the bleach ineffective. So it's better just to use soap and water to remove the basic stuff off of materials, off of things that you have that can be cleaned. Let's see. If you have to muck out a basement, it's really important that you even go further to protect yourself, because once again, there's a lot of safety hazards that are going to be covered by whatever is in your basement or whatever silts left. So be very, very careful in going through that. Mucking out's a great idea because you get out a lot of the contaminants that have been dropped off by the river, but be really careful with that and make sure you wear respiratory protection and waterproof, whatever you can wear. You may want to wear a rain suit, something that's easy to decontaminate. I think that's really all that I want to say. There will be people out there who will want to come in and measure your home to see if it's been cleaned or decontaminated appropriately. Air samples do not have to be taken in order to determine whether or not your home's been cleaned appropriately. Sometimes people will come in and take tape samples, which is simply a way of looking at dust particles that are left on a surface. They'll send that to the lab and see what's in there. Basically, that says that whoever's done the cleaning needs to come back and do cleaning if there's something on that tape sample. So that's really the only sampling that needs to be done. Don't fall for people who want to come in and make sure that you're healthy by doing air samples. There's really no standards to compare that stuff to. So there's really no other way to determine if that's a safe or unsafe level. The best thing is using your eyes, your nose, your senses to determine if there's any existing odors, if you can see any contamination, that kind of a thing. So that's why it's really important to do your assessment up front, so you're sure you've identified all of the things that have been impacted by floodwaters. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them. I think PCEC will have that information available. The references out there are good references. And like I said, don't let them pick one and follow that.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Kat. As she mentioned, yeah, we have these resources. We'll put them in a shared folder. We also have additional resources that include how to muck and gut safely. And also, I think there's a couple basic PowerPoints or a basic PowerPoint in there. And then, once again, what's really needed right now is volunteers. So, I'm just reading off this from a text, but, we need anybody, whether it's being a go-to, running and grabbing things, And then also, very importantly, spending money on local businesses that depend on tourism. That's an issue that's going to just continually to manifest. So if you're interested in volunteering, you can contact PCEC and we'll try to hook you up with somebody that's in need. Yes, thank you so much. And good luck out there. Thanks again, Kat.
You're welcome. Good luck.